Enigma is the best word to describe Cam Reddish and his NBA journey so far. The word means a person that is mysterious or difficult to understand. A cipher machine called Enigma was developed and used in the early to mid 20th century to protect commercial, diplomatic, and military communication. The Enigma device was considered so secure that it was used to encipher the most top secret messages. Let's dive into Cam Reddish's preseason issues, break down his current performance, and project what the future holds for him. Year 4. Should that be his breakout year? If someone casually picks up his numbers from the preseason games with the Knicks and goes through the tapes, making this prediction solely based on them, definitely no. Reddish was super inefficient, shooting 21.4% from the field, hitting only 2 of his 12 attempts from long distance for an average of less than 5 points per game in close to 16 minutes on the court. The worst part was his lack of effort on both ends of the floor, looking like he was completely out of sync playing alongside his teammates to go along with his poor shot selection and tendency to gamble going for steals because of his long 7'1" wingspan. Because of his disappointing preseason performance, Reddish was expected to even fall out of Tom Thibodeau's rotation early in the season. But thanks to Quentin Grimes' foot injury and reportedly solid showings in practices, suddenly Reddish received new chances to prove he belongs and get minutes with the Knicks and stick in the rotation for the first few weeks of the season. And Reddish took his opportunity from the jump, having an impressively efficient performance in the opener against the Grizzlies, finishing with 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 steals while shooting 50% from 3 in just 28 minutes on the floor. Cam's ability to provide length on the perimeter and guard multiple positions, being disruptive in the passing lanes, as well as his offensive versatility, were much needed, as the Knicks are currently one of the worst teams at defending the perimeter in the entire league. Because of the bad defensive effort from the team, Reddish has been moved to the starting lineup for the last 5 games.
Good D here by the Knicks. Reddish in pursuit. Oubre lost it out of bounds. And they're going to change the call. Knicks ball.
Consistency will be the key for Reddish going forward in the season. In his 13 games so far this year, he's had 2 20-plus point games and a 10-plus point game. But in the other 10 games, he finished in single digits, including having a 0-point game against the Brooklyn Nets when he shot 0 for 7 from the field. If Reddish drives and cuts aggressively down the lane and moves well without the ball to find gaps in the opponent's defense, as he did in the game against the Oklahoma City Thunder, then Reddish could be very efficient and would be capable of putting up 10-plus point per games on a regular basis throughout the season. Shooting is one of the areas he needs to put more focus in as he grows. Despite being confident shooting the ball, he's a streaky 3-point spot-up shooter who has potential to get more consistent if he selects his shots better and invests more time in that process. Reddish can easily impact the game on both sides of the ball thanks to his two-way versatility and advantageous length. Going to the rim is a big part of his game. In fact, 46% of his shots so far this season have come at the rim, and he's making 63% of them, showing that he already has solid touch, but there is still room for improvement. His ability to get to the basket with ease thanks to his long strides, decent handle, and long wingspan is definitely one of the aspects of his game that may really impress a lot of basketball fans. His defensive impact might even be more valuable to most NBA teams, as Reddish brings to the table great length, a +5 wingspan, and the ability to guard from 1 to 4 and even 5s in some cases, while being disruptive, poking the ball away, altering and blocking shots, or just getting into passing lanes. The easy call on projecting Reddish's future by looking at his career numbers of 10 points per game, 33% from 3, and 46% effective field goal percentage, as well as the impact he's had for the Hawks and the Knicks so far, would be that he could be a perfect complementary type of player or a key role player next to first options on an NBA team. But here, the numbers might be misleading to some extent. We should take into account that Reddish hasn't experienced a fully healthy 82-game season yet, and was on and off of rotations during his first 3 years in the league due to different injuries. Based on what we've been seeing from him thus far this year though, there is a higher ceiling than just being a complementary player for a contending team. For him to unlock that potential though, he firstly needs to be consistent in his game and work his way up on a roster's hierarchy in order to establish himself as a player who can be trusted more and given more looks offensively. Then he needs to keep developing his offensive game, implementing some more solid mid-range moves, and being more of an all-around type of player instead of just a slasher or a cutter who relies heavily on his teammates to create opportunities for him. 78% of Reddish's 94 field goal attempts this season have been assisted, including all 100 of his 39 three-point attempts. Can Reddish be in a position to accomplish that playing for the New York Knicks? It's hard to guess if New York will be the right situation for him moving forward, knowing that RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, and Jalen Brunson take up almost 50% of the team's field goal attempts. The instant guess right now might be no. After a deeper look though, we can assume that Evan Fournier is falling out of the starting lineup, which will decrease his numbers from last year where he shot 12 field goal attempts per game. If you combine that with the injury of Quentin Grimes, who will definitely need some more time to reach his form that he had last year, that should help Reddish increase his minutes and impact on the team in the short term. So far, Reddish is only attempting 7 shots from the field per game, but the only 2 games he attempted double-digit shots this season, he finished with 20-plus points in each. He scored 22 points in the opening game against the Grizzlies on 9 of 15 shooting from the field, and 26 points against the Oklahoma City Thunder, where he shot 10 of 17 from the field. In these games, Reddish's defensive presence was also felt, as he finished with 3 and 4 steals respectively. But the biggest question for Reddish and his future path in the league is still the inconsistency in his game. Are you going to get the Cam Reddish from the Grizzlies game, or are you going to get the Cam Reddish from the Nets game, where he went 0 for 7 from the field and close to 18 minutes on the floor? Some nights you just don't know. Some stretches you can simply see him taking over the game thanks to his physical gifts and his confidence on both sides of the floor. But on other nights, he may not show up or just make bad decision after bad decision. Reddish has all the physical tools blended with a required skill set that can allow him to enjoy a long career in the NBA. Is the athletic wing going to end up as one of the many wasted physically gifted talents in the league? Could he stay healthy, consistent, and engaged enough on both ends of the floor for an entire season and turn into one of the more valuable rotation players for the Knicks this year, or even keep his starting spot going forward the rest of the season? His two-way versatility and 3-and-D potential are valuable assets which fit well into any team in modern basketball. But the word that can and will define how successful Cam Reddish's career will be in the long term is still going to be consistency.